Hey everyone, Ann O'Connell with OC Publishing here, and welcome to the Author Journey. We have a very special guest with us today who is a brand new children's author, and I'm looking forward to diving into her process and what she's learning and what her next project is. But her first project, her very first book, is Morgan O'Grady, who's here in Halifax, who recently published this gorgeous book, Louie the Dancing Hamster. And the drawings are by Joanne MacDonald. And Morgan was born, as I said, in Halifax and grew up between her family home in Bedford and her cottage and grandmother's house in the beautiful town of Inverness, Cape Breton. Louie the Dancing Hamster is her first children's book and first published piece of work. Now, Morgan had shared with me when we met not long ago at Booktoberfest that she had taken on this writing gig as a way of working through some of the challenges that she had faced in growing up, and a way to share how she, used the love of animals to work through some of those challenges. So I'm going to bring Morgan up to have a chat and share these experiences with you. Welcome, Morgan.
Hi there.
Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it was such a pleasure meeting you at Booktoberfest. Did you enjoy it?
I did. It was so nice to meet so many other writers, authors, publishers, and just more people in the writing space, as it was my first event.
It was amazing. It was a great event. And when we were chatting and you were sharing with me, that you had written your first book and you showed it, I fell right in love with both you
It's
and
pretty cute,
Louie.
yeah.
Isn't he adorable? Right on the spot. So tell us about Louie. Like, why is he like the
Yeah,
star
Louis
of your
was
first book?
special. Louis
Yeah.
was special. When I was little, I always wanted a puppy. We ended up with a dog, a cat, and it was mine and my sister's, my parents that we shared. And of course, that was all great. But I always loved animals, 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 animals. And one day I was at the pet store and there was this old gray looking old man hamster that I saw. And of course, mom, mom, mom. And after some speaking towards, yep, that's me looking through exactly what I look like.
I love it.
And finally, I was allowed to get him. And when I got him, the one person that I really didn't think would like him because he's a rodent was my mom. But she instantly fell in love with him as well. And that's where this whole dancing hamster came, because she actually did used to sing to him and like, Morgan, I promise you he's dancing to me. I thought she was crazy, but that's where this whole idea came. And he was a staple in my life for so many years. He lived for a hamster 4 or 5 years, which is pretty long.
Mhm.
And he had all the extravagant toys, cages. He was really a delight to have around and run around the house in his ball. He was fantastic.
And I just love the car ball. Look how
Yeah.
fun is that? How fun is that?
Yes.
So you share in the write up in the book, and when we were chatting, that you've had issues with anxiety. You were a worrier as a child, and talk a little bit about how the animals in your life have sort of helped you deal with some of those issues.
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, even as a young child, I worried a lot. Like, I was called the worrier by my mom and dad, and I had family members that knew, but it wasn't, a problem to the point of being a problem yet, until I reached school level and I was more anxious, it seemed, than the regular kids around me. And I say regular kids because that's how I felt. I felt as if
Mhm.
I was, this odd one out. Always worrying about little things that you don't really think, why am I worrying about this when everybody else seems to be going through the day so easy? Meanwhile, I'm worried, what class am I going to be in? Am I going to be late? Um, am I going to have friends in the class, etc.?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the time as well, I was dressing like I dressed in, boys' shorts and boys' clothes, sometimes a little tomboy, and I would get made fun of for that sometimes. And sometimes I
Always
felt like
more
the friends I
comfortable,
exactly. That's what I was saying. I was like, you don't get dressed up to go to school. I was more of a sporty kid,
Totally.
loved playing hockey and
Mhm.
such, but some people weren't, the nicest. And I said,
Oh, you froze on me. Oh,
just
oh, hang on. Are you
of the
back?
critics out there. Yep, I think we're back
Okay,
there.
yes. Yay, she's
And
back.
yeah, woohoo. Um, and so, yeah, to the point that kids can sometimes be your hardest critics. And as a child, you don't get that, and you don't understand that, they're not thinking before they speak. They don't know any
Mhm,
better, but it makes you feel really alone as a child.
mhm,
And sometimes just coming home from like a long day of school where I felt left out, or, there was a group of girls that were getting along more than I was because I seemed to be a little bit different than them.
mm,
And coming home to, whether it be my big dog Spencer, who they called a pony, he
mhm.
was amazing, my cat, or even just coming home to watch Louie play on his wheel or eat treats, it was an immediate, almost sense of relief. And you have a feeling that if I don't have, some friends, exactly, yeah,
There's
there's
Spencer
Spencer and
and
Oreo,
Oreo, yeah.
yeah, and so animals brought me a lot of peace, it was a release in a way, feeling that I didn't feel so alone,
Mm,
um, in the days of school, especially because school was a hard place for me, just with worrying, not even just with kids, but, anxiety,
mm,
in a whole. So animals are really, really, I think people don't realize until you have one what therapy they can be.
mhm. Oh,
So
I
yeah,
love
it's,
yeah. I have a tuxedo cat, and, she's my muse, and she's my clown, and, you know,
yeah,
gives you like you said, when you come home and there they are just waiting to greet you with, tail wag or, a little dance from, from Louis. Just
exactly.
makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
It really does, and they all have their own little personalities, and, that they are your friends. And
Mhm.
it's hard, like, as a kid, to sometimes get your parents to get you a vet sometimes, but once you do, it's like, "Oh my goodness," and even, like I said, my mom, who I thought would,
Not
never ever even step foot in the same room as him,
Yeah.
singing songs to him was, quite cool to experience as well.
I just love that. I always said I'm the same as you, Morgan. If I could have one of everything, I would, right? But
Yeah,
I guess I'll just have one at a time right now. Talk a little
right.
bit about, your inspiration. We'll have you read a couple of pages, but first, I know that you've got more projects underway, and
Yes.
that's awesome. And I also want to give a shout out to the folks who are watching. And Sue Slade says, "Hello, ladies! Yay! Thanks
Hi,
for
Sue.
joining us, Sue." Um, Tell me a little bit about the motivation. So, you have this wonderful, affinity with animals. And I think that is just such a wonderful way to, work through, those anxieties and worries, and to have, a warm blooded being who loves you unconditionally.
Exactly.
What brought you to actually putting pen to paper to write this?
So what brought me to actually bringing pen to paper was a lot of years of struggling with both mental health and addiction, and it took a lot out of me for a long time, and I lost a lot of people,
Mhm.
but I think for the right reasons. And I think, to be honest, if a lot of that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I think sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith. Like, a lot of people always say, "Oh, I dream of writing a book. I dream of doing this. I dream of doing that." But at some point, you just have to say, "Okay, if I want to do that, I'm going to have to start somewhere."
Mhm.
And I think I spent a lot of years too, like, working on my memoir, which, is a next piece of work I'm hoping to get out.
Mhm.
But that was a lot of time spent, going over my past and, getting it out on paper, which in a way was therapeutic. But
Mhm.
what really led me to go Louie the Dancing Hamster was when I got out of a lot of I still struggle with mental health day to day, but, uh, a lot better than I was. And Louie the Dancing Hamster, to me, I feel it really important to impact kids early on. I think it's important for everyone to learn a little bit about mental health, a
Mhm.
little bit about addiction, anything around, things to do with health in general that, um, we don't talk about a lot. And even in today's day and age, I feel like we learn a little bit more about it than we used to, which is fantastic. But I
Mhm,
think sometimes in things that kids like to do, like read, watch TV, like those are things kids are automatically going to want to do. And if you can
mhm,
make it engaging for them and interesting, but also thoughtful, insightful, and what did I learn from this book?
mhm,
I think is super, super important because you're not making them learn it. They're learning it in a way that's fun for them, but
mhm.
also being able to understand at a children level is
Right.
a big thing as well. Because I feel like we say a lot of big things to kids and we expect them to understand. And I feel as if I had more books like the one I wrote when I was a kid, maybe I wouldn't have felt so alone.
Yes, and age appropriate. And I so
Yeah,
admire you, and congratulations for
thank
being
you.
so brave and sharing your story. And like you said, people are talking a little bit more about it these days. But more is better, and also
Exactly.
sharing the tools that have worked for you, right? So why don't we take just a little pause and have you read a few pages, maybe from the beginning
Course. Yes, let's
of
start at the
Louie.
beginning here.
Okay.
Okay. Louie, 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 Morgan's mom sang to Louie the hamster as Morgan got ready for bed. Look, Morgan, he dances every time I sing to him, her mom said excitedly, pointing at Louie, who was standing on his back legs staring at her. Morgan giggled and grabbed a raspberry flavored treat to give to Louie for his bedtime snack. Louie, 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 her mom continued to sing. Nights like this were Morgan's favorite. She went to bed giggly, calm, thinking about Louie dancing to the sound of her mom's voice. She didn't know it yet, but Louie helped Morgan to stay calm, to stay present, instead of up in her own head. What Morgan also didn't know yet was that she would grow up to learn she suffers from an anxiety disorder. Morgan was always an avid animal lover. She loved anything from a house pet to wildlife. She had a big dog named Spencer, who was more like a pony because he was so big. She also had a black and white cat named, guess what? You guessed it, Oreo. Morgan would have had every pet in the pet store if her parents allowed it. Animals made her happy. After a lot of convincing, the one other pet she was allowed to get was a hamster. The only rule, she had to clean the cage and take care of it by herself since it would be hers. But that didn't bother Morgan. It only made her more excited. Her very own pet that wasn't her parents or her sisters too. I'm going to name him Louie, Morgan announced. Although Louie was only young, he looked old because of his gray and white hair. She chose him because he was the only one with those colors. Louie was a teddy bear hamster, meaning he had longer fur than the normal. Morgan thought he looked like an old man with a long gray beard. Since she was most excited about having another animal friend, since she didn't have any human ones. But that didn't seem to bother Morgan either, as long as she had her pets. Louis's cage was right beside Morgan's bed, proving that he was hers and hers only. Louis didn't mind. He lived the hamster dream. His cage was more like a hamster mansion, spanning 3 floors with grass huts, 2 wheels, and even tubes that allowed him to leave the main part of his cage. Every time Morgan went to the pet store, she came home with something for Louis. Morgan's family started to love Louis too. Put Louis in his ball, Morgan's dad would tell her. Everyone loved watching Louis run around in his plastic ball that he went in to freely roam the house. He ran into a lot of walls, but he loved to adventure. He even upgraded to a ball inside of a car, making it look like he was driving as he ran around. Her 100-pound dog was afraid of Louis running around, while the cat thought of ways to get closer.
That is, oh, I just love that. Like, we want to make sure that people are like wanting to read more and hear more about that. I wanted to give a shout out to your illustrator, Joanne
Yes, she
MacDonald.
is. She is amazing. She is
And
amazing.
it
She really made this project come to life for me.
and it's so obvious that you were very skilled at explaining what you wanted to come. And I just have to share my favorite illustration. Like, how do you illustrate anxiety? Like,
Exactly.
well, very well done. So,
Yeah, she's
How did you find that process working with her on the
So
illustrations?
that was honestly one of my favorite parts about the whole project because you really get to see it come to life. You have these words on a piece of paper, but to see a picture interpret it is literally worth a million words.
Mm,
So Joanne was able to take all of my ideas, like just scribbled down ideas, trying to explain the best way I could how to put it into a drawing.
mhm,
And she was able to do just that with very little any changes having to be made. But she was also amazing to work with as it if something did need to be changed, she was right there to do it. Um, the drawings took a while for me to pick which illustrations I thought would go with each page best before I sent it off to Joanne. So
mhm,
trying to think of the best way to it's hard to describe a picture when you don't have one in front of you.
mhm,
So that was difficult, but one thing me and Joanne really agreed on working together was just how well we could communicate what each other needed from one
mm,
another.
mhm.
And it turned out I was very, very happy with her work. And she also, quick shout out, has her own book that's yes, that she illustrated and did and wrote before I did.
Mhm.
Um, so I just want to do a quick shout out for her because
Yeah,
she's fantastic.
that's fantastic. And so you do have other projects in the works. So what are some of the things you learned with this first book that will help in working in the new ones?
I think one of the biggest things I'm learning is to communicate with people I don't know. Another thing, because part of my anxiety, like even doing some interviews, and sometimes I trip up over my words because I'm thinking 3 steps ahead of what I'm saying. Um, so I found that something I'm learning every day after I meet new people how to communicate with them
Mhm,
better, and so that's a big one. I've learned so much. I've learned how to connect with
mhm,
people on my own since I did self-publish this. I had to
mhm.
learn, and I'm still learning how to market myself, how to make yourself known in a good way.
And there you
Um,
are. Look, you've been out and about. This is
yeah,
you at Dartmouth Book Exchange. Again, shout out to the folks there. Thanks, Sue, for
yes, thank you
posting
very
this
much, Sue.
picture.
Yeah, it was
So just
fantastic.
yeah, to let people know so we don't forget, they can get copies of Louie the Dancing Hamster at Dartmouth Book Exchange,
Yes.
or they can also contact you directly. Correct?
Yes, via email, via Instagram, or if you happen to be in Inverness, you can find them at the Art Center there
Oh,
or Quincy Street
fantastic.
Market.
Okay,
Yes,
so that's Morgan O'Grady Writer at gmail.com. And then
yes.
follow her on Instagram at Morgan O'Grady Writer. But I understand you're also working on a website.
Yes, I'm hoping to get a website up and running so that
Mhm,
people can find more information, not just on Louie the Dancing Hamster, but up and
mhm,
coming pieces of work, what's
mhm.
coming next, where to find what I'm selling, and how to contact and purchase through me or
Excellent.
the website.
Okay, so tell us, where are you getting your inspiration for your next children's stories?
My next children's stories, my inspirations, I've had a couple ideas, but what really grabbed my attention was I've been looking for years to find this folder of children's stories that I wrote growing up that were written with marker and colored in drawings and everything.
I love
And
it.
I finally came across them and found about a dozen or more children's stories that I had scribbled down with just random ideas that I had when I was little, some which I remember, some which I don't. So that was a nice surprise. But some of them really gave me an idea of, oh, what could I twist this into as an idea I had when I was little? Because if I had that idea when I was that young, maybe other young um, people would be interested in that same idea. And I'll probably more than likely follow a lot my animal route.
Hmm.
Um, do some stories, but not just with Louie, as I have a Australian Shepherd now, Zach, who
Oh,
has quite the personality.
mhm.
I could write 100 stories based on our life together so far. So,
And how old is he now?
he just turned 7, so
Okay.
yeah, middle age, but he's just like a 7-year-old puppy is the best
Oh,
way to put it.
wow. And is
Yeah.
Oreo, the kitty, still with us?
Not anymore. She
No? Okay.
passed, the year of COVID. She was
Mhm.
17, so she lived yeah, she was I had her. I was
Wow.
lucky enough to have her since I was 5, my very first day of primary, um,
Wow.
until yeah, so
Oh,
we were
wow, and
lucky to
she
have her
does
for
make
that
a
long.
cameo appearance in, Louie the Dancing
She sure
Hamster.
does. She
So what
loved Louie.
so what are some of the themes of the ones that you found in your childhood folder?
So there was a couple one of the ones that I actually remembered writing, was a little boy who jumped on his bed and lost his tooth, and how he wanted to hide that that's how he lost his tooth from his parents, because he wasn't allowed to jump on the bed. So that was one that made me laugh because I actually remembered doodling that when I was little.
That's funny.
Um, I came across a little rendition I did of the old book Giraffes Can't Dance. There was some really interesting ones that grabbed my attention, like, I did that when I was little, so why can't I, kinda do something like that now? There's a lot of them, which is funny, are, animal based,
Mhm.
and then a couple I was really into superheroes back then, so I had
Oh,
made
wow.
up a couple of my own superheroes, so there's a couple of those in there. But a lot of them, run along the theme of animals because 'cause that's been a huge part of my life ever since I was
Mhm.
little.
Mhm. And will likely continue to be. I mean, once an animal
Yes.
lover, always an animal lover, right?
Agreed 100%, yes.
Yeah. So what do you like to read? What are some of your favorite genres or
I really like, my personal or I can really read a good mystery. I love mysteries. I'm a big mystery person.
2 thumbs up?
I also love even, as a teenager, I loved, just real raw story memoirs,
Mhm.
about people's lives, what they've dealt with.
Mhm.
So that's something I'm really, also into, almost like a good documentary movie, but in a book.
Right. Excellent.
And yeah, so those, really intrigue me. However, mystery would be one of my big ones.
Number
But right
1.
now I'm really into the, Treasure Hunters Club by Tom Ryan. That's what I'm reading right now, which is quite good, and he was actually one of, the people that helped me in the very beginning of my writing to learn a little bit about how it works and all
Oh,
of
that's
the
fantastic.
fun stuff.
That's fantastic. And you've said that you like to be out and about and you're getting better at networking.
Yes.
And so you've been out to a couple of bookstores, you've been to some events.
Yep.
Anything, what else is coming up for you?
I'm hoping to get into right now, a lot of the markets are Christmas based. But that was something I really enjoy being able to interact with people that
Hmm.
do buy my book,
Hmm.
and be able to chat about, why they're buying it, why I wrote it, etc. Just a little bit about me that, you can't get on a blurb of a back of a book.
Hmm.
So markets would be something I'd like to get in, just local, like do some
Hmm.
more local. That's something definitely I'd like to get into. And again, just learning, I'm still learning how to network and where to go, but um, I'm really diving into it and I'm meeting a lot of great people along the way who honestly in the writing community, it's amazing and reading.
Hmm.
The people that can turn you in a different direction and show you, little things that really go a long way to help.
Oh,
And
absolutely. I mean, it's a very supportive community in our region, in the Atlantic provinces, in Canada. There's lots of online groups as well, but it's so nice to be face to face. And as you said, actually talk to readers, and people. And what'd be fun is like if you could, read in the classroom. Um,
yes,
have you?
yes.
So yeah, and getting out there. So if there's other folks out there who are watching, whether it's live or you're watching a rerun, feel free to leave in the comments, and
Yeah.
Morgan and I'll check back, if
Yeah.
you have any suggestions for that. But getting out there and meeting people and chatting with people. And you know what? I mean, some of the Christmas markets, although for this year might be, of course, a bit late,
Yeah.
but to have a little table, partner with other authors,
Exactly. Yes.
join folks, at their tables, and just get the word out for sure. So,
Yes.
mhm. So,
Yeah. It's been fantastic so far.
do you have advice for fellow new authors or aspiring authors as they're attempting to enter the realm?
Yeah, it can definitely be overwhelming. It can take a long time, so be
Hmm.
patient. Sometimes one project is going to take a little longer than the other, but decide on what you're most passionate about at the time. Put your head into it, and it seems like a lot. Like, am I ever going to be able to do this? Am I ever going to have a real copy of my book in my hand after working on it at a computer for so long? Um, it will happen, and it happened for me, and I never really ever thought it would, after years of trying to write and getting different books out there and, what's gonna work best for me? Uh,
Hmm.
it's scary because you look at all these seasoned authors and see how well they're doing, and you're like, "Oh, how am I gonna, get there? How am I gonna do that?" But you just have to start,
Hmm.
and
Just
for me,
jump
it's a
in.
mental thing. Yeah. Jump
Jump in
in.
with both feet. Yeah, that was really good advice. And Sarah Butland has joined us. Hey, Sarah. Speaking of creating superheroes, her banana boy is a great superhero. And she says book fairs are so great for learning, connecting, and getting lots of answers to questions. Absolutely right. And
Fantastic.
she says you sound like an old hat already.
Thank you. I get told that a lot.
Yeah, you old soul. If you haven't met Sarah, you'll have to find her on social media and follow,
I
and
will for sure.
find an opportunity to meet her. She's a huge
Absolutely.
supporter of new authors as well. So,
Absolutely.
any last minute ideas or thoughts that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Um, Most importantly, just thank you because again, as a new author, like I said, it's scary to jump in and you think maybe it's not going to do well. But hey, like, look at where I am. I've met a lot of amazing people. I've only just started. And I have a lot of more motivation to go forward. So just thank you to everyone that's helped me so far. And I can't wait to meet people I haven't met yet.
Oh, you're incredible. And like I said, the moment I met you, I knew that you were special and I had to have you on. And I knew that you would be a star. And if this is like what your first interview, you have nailed it, my
Thank you
friend.
so much. Thank you. I
So,
was nervous.
oh, no need to be nervous. And I want you to come back when your next book comes out. So
Absolutely.
keep us posted. Let us know how you're
Yes, stay
doing.
tuned. Yes.
And definitely, and happy holidays. And I love your
Yes,
tree
happy
there
holidays. Thank you.
behind
Yes,
you.
I'm a big Christmas person.
Excellent. And we'll see you very soon on in the
Yes,
circles. And lots of folks jumping in here. And Valerie Poirier says, thank you, Anne. Jen Ryan, this was so great. Thank you. Look, you've got fans already, Morgan. That's awesome. Awesome. And fans for Louie. And I'm going to tell, do
yes,
you know the
awesome.
song? Do you know the song?
I don't.
It's been going through my head. Louie, 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 Louie.
Oh, that one. I was gonna say, of course I
Yeah.
know that one.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, you must know that one. So you've got me
Yeah,
singing and tapping my toes and smiling, and there's nothing better.
fantastic.
So,
That's the hope for it. So,
yes, thanks, Morgan, and good luck. And like I said, keep us posted.
of course, and thank you, Anne, and we'll chat
You,
again.
you bet. And thank you all for joining us on the author journey today. I'm Anne O'Connell with OC Publishing. Happy reading, happy writing, and we'll see you next time on the author journey. Bye for now.